G'day, my name is Wago, and welcome back to Let's Play Star Trek Online. In today's episode, I'm going to actually show off another one of the alternate starter ships. This time, it is the... where'd it go? So, this time, it is the Constitution class from the original Star Trek. This ship used to be one of the bonuses for pre-ordering the game, and it was also one of the first ships to be added to, well, one of the first entirely new ships to be added to the C-Store. And the really nice thing about this ship is that it was also one of the few ships back when the game first launched to actually come with something new with it. Oh, I don't. Oh, it still has two slots. Okay, so I'm gonna pull a few things out of the profit for now. Okay, so the original series version of the the Constitution has back when it first came out, it was actually the first the first ship in the game to come with weapons that automatically scale to your level. So if you can see it here in the little bottom corner where the rank of the weapon would normally be shown, there's a little infinity symbol. The way it works is that the stats of the weapon will scale to be based on what your level is to a certain degree. Now, because of the way the scaling calculations work, it's not always going to be the best weapon you could equip, but it's still going to be very good for what your current level is. So now I'll just put my equipment back in. And so actually right now I'm going to take a brief moment here to talk about some of the gear you can equip. In this case, I'm going to talk about shields. There's basically three types of shields in Star Trek Online. Four. There's your just generic standard shield. There's that's another generic standard shield. In fact, I'll go here, and this will show me. Okay. So you have your just generic basic shield. There's nothing special about it. Regenerative shields have an increased shield regeneration rate compared to normal shields, but they tend to have a lower maximum capacity as a result. Covariant shields tend to have a significantly higher shield capacity than standard, but a much lower regeneration as a result. And then resilient shield arrays tend to have slightly lower capacity, but whenever a weapon hits your shields, 10% of the damage will just automatically pass through your shields and hit your hull. This is called bleed through. A resilient shield array, however, will just outright negate 5% of the damage from the attack that hits you, and then allows 5% of the damage to bleed through into your hull. I personally prefer using resilient, but covariants are considered to be the best shields for pretty much everything because of the capacity. I'm not saying I necessarily agree, but I can see where they're coming from. Actually, I'll just briefly go over all the items. So next is the deflector dish. Deflector dishes basically give bonuses to various ship type abilities. And again, there's generally there's basically four types of deflector arrays. Neutrino arrays give bonuses to sensors, flow capacitors, inertial dampeners, and power insulators. I'll cover what these ones mean later. Graviton arrays tend to give bonuses to flow capacitors, graviton generators, subspace decoupler, and countermeasure systems. Tachyon deflector arrays tend to give bonuses to flow capacitors, stealth, and particle generators. And positron arrays tend to give bonuses to shield emitters, structural integrity, shield systems, and flow capacitors. So basically, the idea is that a positron deflector is good for tanking, a tachyon deflector is good for stealth, a graviton deflector is good for exotic damage, and a neutrino deflector is good for just in general. Lastly is the impulse engine. And there's actually less options. There's only there's basically three types of impulse engines that you can equip. Just your generic impulse engine, a hyper impulse engine, which is efficient at high power levels. What that means is that if you put a lot of energy into your speed, then the amount of actual speed you'll get out of the engine will be more than you normally would. And the alternate is the combat impulse engine, which is efficient at low power levels, which means that even if you don't assign a lot of energy into your engines, you'll still get a lot out of it as a result. As a result of this, combat impulse engines are basically the one to equip if you don't have anything more specific. So, back to selecting my ship. Ready that, and I actually have a combat impulse engine to toss in there. Alright, so with that done, I'll beam back up to the ship. Alright, so one thing that is kind of a pain in Star Trek Online is that when you change ships, it empties out your slots and requires you to reset everything. However, one thing that's nice though is that if you were to change between different ships, it actually saves your settings for each ship. So you only really need to set things up once, and then it stays set up forever, or at least for that ship. Oh, and I didn't mention it when at the end of the last video, but at certain levels you gain powers for your captain, and this time I gained a space power called Evasive Maneuvers. This is generic to all captains. When you hit level 3, every captain will get this. And what this basically does is, for a short period of time, you gain a pretty significant bonus to flight speed and turn rate, and you also gain a small bonus to defense. So it's great for getting you out of danger, or for just turning your ship a lot faster. But it has a decent cooldown on it, so you can't just use it all the time. Oh, and it also, when you change ships, it also doesn't save your power settings. Anyway, I'm going to also, since I mentioned it, briefly go over the various skills. So most of the skills that Deflector gives a bonus to is science skills, which I think I mentioned before. So I know I mentioned power insulators. So your starship power insulator skill gives you resistance to any ability that drains shields or power. Inertial dampeners gives your ship resistance to any ability which would basically affect the movement of your starship. So holds, disables, repels, knockbacks, or slows. Sensors is your ability to see enemy ships. What else? Oh, okay, it's not showing the rest it's not showing the rest of them because I don't have point. No, what? I said show. Okay. It's supposed to show a bunch more. It's not. Oh well. Or maybe I need to. Okay, here we go. Okay. Whatever. Okay. Maybe that's bugged. Anyway, I have a mission to accomplish here, which is what we're actually here for today. Whatever. I'll explain what all the skills are later. In fact, I'll just put a link to it in the post for this update. So, as you probably saw from the briefing last episode, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. There it is. Okay. So what I'm doing here is there's a Vulcan ambassador that wants to go to a monastery, and so I'm just going to go and pick him up and take him there. This mission used to have you go back to Sol System to pick up the guy and then head to the area, but now they decided to show off Vulcan since they touched it up after they did this mission. Right, well, you know, ambassadors have funny eccentricities about them. So this one, he doesn't like transporters. So, well, you know, we'll just meet him by shuttlecraft instead. 'Cause, hey, whatever. So this mission was the second of the missions that was overhauled from how it was in launch. The first was Stranded in Space, which we just completed.
Starfleet shuttlecraft, this is Vulcan Orbital Control. You are cleared to land at the requested coordinates.
That was
Welcome to Vulcan. Please enjoy your stay.
yeah, that was some stealth technology you had there, shuttlecraft. This mission, I believe, will change what your ship looks like there if you have different shuttlecrafts, but I can't remember. Because you can actually get multiple shuttlecrafts for things that require smaller ships. And again, that's going to be something that I will go over later. Alright, where am I going? Not really showing on the map, but here we go. Okay, here's the fellow.
Welcome to Vulcan. Do you have any questions? My business is my own. If you must know more, I require a meeting with the Abbot. He will not use subspace communications. So if I am to receive his counsel, I need to meet with him directly.
Oh, okay, I mean, it's the abbot of an ancient monastery. Kind of makes sense that they hate technology.
Do you have any questions? This is ridiculous. Access to Pajem is strictly limited to preserve the sanctity of the monastery. No outsiders are permitted to land without the express permission of Savin, the leader of the Order of the Priest that maintains the planet. Ordinarily, this would not present any difficulty, but Savin has chosen this moment to illogically question my visiting the monastery. He is refusing to grant leave for me to meet with the abbot.
Oh, well, okay, I guess that's why he's asking for help.
If I do not complete my journey to Pajem now, I will have to delay it until after the trade conference at Corden is complete. And that could take
Oh,
weeks.
no.
I fear I've spent too much time off-world. While I find it easy to deal with others, my own people can be stubborn. Perhaps you could speak to Savin. I know he has a great deal of respect for Starfleet, and you might have an easier time.
I think you've spent too much time off-world as well, but for completely different reasons there. Something about you sounds weird. Oh, how convenient. He just happens to be right here. So, we'll just see why... Something about this guy just doesn't add up. You know, he doesn't want to explain why he wants to go to Pajem. Ah, yeah, of course. The monks just plain don't use technology. You know, which makes sense. You know, nothing wrong with that. I mean, monks sort of do that sort of thing all the time. Well, anyway, can I persuade you? Oh, it's because he likes Starfleet. Hey. That is no problem.
Do you have any questions?
Why doesn't he trust you?
How should I know? He is a small man with small concerns. Thankfully, he has listened to reason, and our journey won't be delayed any longer. I am ready to leave now. Is the shuttle prepared for departure?
That really does not sound right. Well, alright, you know, hey, I'm sure nothing bad is going to come of this. I mean, I'm just escorting this fellow to a peaceful monastery planet. That is a nice model of a shuttlecraft. Maybe a little small, but it's still a pretty nice model.
Starfleet shuttlecraft, we have logged your flight trajectory, and you are cleared for departure.
Whoops!
Live long and prosper.
Although, you know, that looks really janky.
I need to meditate and prepare for my meeting with the abbot at Pajem. If you have no objections, I will retire to my quarters. Please notify me when we have arrived at our destination. Once again, you have my gratitude for your assistance.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, here we go. As we landed back on the ship. Yep, there we go. So, with that taken care of, let's fly ourselves over to Pajem. There we go. another thing as well to note is that the way sector space currently looks here is actually not the way it looked at launch. Back at launch, it was actually a lot more cartoony. There was much more. They basically highlighted each area in space with its faction colors, and then had great big swaths of what seemed to kind of be space lanes just going all over the place, also in that faction's colors. And while I won't say that it looked bad, it looked a little out of place. This new subdued astrometrics look just feels a lot more appropriate for what this game actually is. I kind of wish there was an option to turn the old style back on, though. Oh, this is some kind of weird energy pattern. I wonder what that could be. Oh, it's cloaked Klingon ships. I wonder what they want to know. Huh? Shape changers? What do you mean by that? Well, come on. There's no way I have anything like that on my ship. Do you have any proof? Oh, well, fine. If you're not going to show me any proof and you're going to just shoot me. I'll return the favor. Oh yeah, so the really great thing about the special phasers that come with the original series Connie is that they have the classic sounds and the classic color. That is pretty great. So, yeah, the original series Connie is considered a cruiser within Star Trek Online. So as a result, it is more focused on defense and has slightly slower turn rates than other ships. But like I had mentioned, basically the Tier 1 ships in Star Trek Online are all so close to each other in stats that it kind of doesn't really matter. Oh, and the phasers that come with the Connie can also be transferred to any starship you own. They don't have to be used just on this ship. So because they scale to your level, you can keep moving them forward and have these awesome auto-scaling phasers on your ship forever. Or at least, until you reach near max level and get something that's actually better. So, in fact, I'll go over that a little bit now since I have an opportunity. So, at each rank, there are actually 2 tiers of gear that you can have. So basically, at the first rank, you can use Mark 1 and Mark 2 gear. At the next rank, you can use Mark 3 and Mark 4, and so on until you reach the level cap. Now, as a result, the way auto-scaling weapons work is that they look at what your level is and then basically give themselves stats commensurate with basically the odd-numbered tier of gear that you can equip. So in this case, these phasers are about as good as a blue Mark 1 phaser. When I reach the next rank, or probably when I reach level 5, they'll go up to be equivalent to Mark 2 phasers. And then at level 10, they'll go up to be equivalent to Mark 3. So the problem is that once you reach the level cap, that it actually caps the effectiveness of those phasers to being the same as if they were Mark 11 phasers. But the highest grade of weapons you can get is Mark 12. Mark 12. So as a result, some of your, as a result, the weapon is not as good as it could be, even if it wasn't weakened because it's not optimized. So now we're down on the planet, and seems that there's a bunch of Klingons here who really don't like us, so we'd better get them out of the way. Oh, there's some gear to pick up, some loot. You got it. So this part of the mission is basically the same as to what it was back in the original version. It's once we get near the critical part of it, a little bit later, is when it will actually be different in a significant manner. I mean, it's really kind of to be expected as well. I mean, even if they were overhauling the mission, they had a lot of assets done and a basic plot for it as it was, so there's no need to just throw it all out and start all over again. I mean, that just invalidates a lot of work that they'd put into it, and honestly, like, this is a pretty nice looking map. So the boxes that popped up just a little bit ago were basically just more tutorial messages talking about expose and exploit, which I covered in the first video. Not the first video, but I covered. I covered a little bit ago. It's just letting us know about, why the Klingons are here, even though we sort of figured out. Oh, whoops! And one of my guys just leaped right off the edge to his doom. Well, thankfully the game is actually pretty good about the game is actually pretty good about having your dudes just sort of warp to you in the event that weird stuff happens. Yep, they're all finally back. Oh, okay, we made it to the monastery. So in the original... Oh, hey, where'd you come from? In the original version of this, you were actually escorting the ambassador with you, but now he's not actually here. What? The ambassador is not actually the ambassador? Whoever would have thought that? Yep, so in the remake of the mission, in the original mission you still found out here that the ambassador was not who he claimed to be, but the reason you found out is because you escorted him here, and then he basically revealed himself during a confrontation. This time you find out because this time you leave him on the ship and clear a path for him, because I don't know. I mean, we'll have to try to stop the ambassador now.
Such emotion on your face. I see now my deception has been exposed. Pity. Capturing the abbot so we could replace him as well would have been beneficial. But we are strong. We will prevail. You are weak, and the weak shall perish.
Alright, well, he doesn't, I guess he doesn't want to come along quietly. So, in Star Trek Online, the Undine, or however they want to pronounce it, because up until this point in the series, and in the game's release, they have never actually said the name out loud, that I have heard. So, you know, whatever. That is the name of the species given to species 8472 from Voyager, which were the aliens that lived in liquid space. And later on in the game, we are actually going to fly into liquid space, and it looks awesome. So look forward to that. But they are going to be a recurring enemy. So now we'll just have to try and disable the ambassador. Aw, he was trying to run away. Oh, he's changed shape to be one of the Klingons.
Bothersome creatures! Why should I trouble myself with such insignificant beings when the Klingons will do my work?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they're here for you.
Warriors, prepare for battle! Yes, there is a group of Starfleet officers behind me. One of them is the foul shapeshifter. I'm returning to the ship. Don't let them leave this planet alive.
That was for a bunch of Klingons that were here specifically to apprehend a shapeshifter. They sure accepted that really easily. So, you know, whatever. They deserve what they get. And that phaser minigun is pretty awesome. But there's no real reason for me to still, but I still really like the rifles as a result of the problems that I had with the way weapons worked back when the game first came out, which I mentioned before. I mean, it's a little on the irrational side. It doesn't make. They've fixed that stuff since then, but as a result, I'm still partial to the phaser rifles. I seem to have gone to where he ran off to, but he escaped. But he's got to have a ship that's nearby, so let's look for it. Oh, whoops! That ship's coming right for us. Alright, so this part of the mission is basically here to help teach you about two different things. The first being that it's possible for you to shoot down certain projectiles. I mentioned that in the last video as well. Powering up certain weapons cause them to become targetable. And the other thing about this is that it's also teaching you about managing your power. So because even if I was trying to actually attack the ship, it said I can't actually damage it. I don't have the capability. So I'm holding out for reinforcements who will come and help. So it's teaching you about managing your power systems to boost your defenses. Now, thankfully, because I equipped that that console that will automatically shoot at nearby enemies, I don't really have to worry too much about the projectile, because as soon as it gets near, that console will just automatically shoot it out, just like that. So I can just keep shooting at the enemy ship until my reinforcements arrive, while continuing to keep the shield facing charged up. Now, the reason why my ship is glowing like this every now and then is because so every energy type and every physical weapon type has their own special effect. The special effect for plasma weapons, or these plasma torpedoes, is that they will cause basically a damage over time effect, or they have a chance to. But the torpedoes are basically, if they hit, they will cause a damage over time effect. For phaser weapons, you have a chance of knocking an enemy subsystem offline. So the subsystems are your weapons, your shields, your movement, or your auxiliary. If they get knocked offline, it just goes straight to 0. Disruptor weapons will their effect. They have a chance to trigger basically a damage received debuff on the enemy, which will cause them to take a little bit more damage from certain weapon types over a period of time. Standard photon torpedoes are just straight up. They just deal the average amount of damage and have the average cooldown. The type of torpedo I got from the starter pack, a quantum torpedo, has a higher cooldown, but it deals more damage as a result. So the quantum torpedo is designed to be used as a burst weapon. And there's other energy and weapon types, and I'll cover them as we pick them up, because they will basically the weapon types will only show up at different level brackets as you engage different enemy types. Oh, and ship explosions, while not only are they impressive to watch, they will actually cause damage to ships in the blast radius. Hi there. Right, well, that's the end of that. So an interesting tactic is, in fact, to disable or hold enemies near other exploding vessels, and those will usually deal a lot of damage. In fact, there are some missions where you can just destroy one enemy in a group, and then you will destroy the rest of the ships because of the explosion. Oh, so here is the results. Poor Admiral is just shocked that the ambassador was an Undine. And now we can choose one of the following 1 items. It's just a new photon torpedo launcher. And so the data recorder item will allow you to replay the narrations from Spock, which is, that's a really nice perk. Right, so that's.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
I got a bunch of issues, but these ones are also kind of, just expanding the tutorial more. And I will, in fact, cover these. I don't want that one yet. Okay. So this one here is the actual next story mission. Next time, though, I will cover. I'll go over these tutorial ones, because they will probably take a while. So until next time, though. Oh, yeah, that's him saying, hey, I got that next mission for you. Anyway, oh, and so I leveled up, and that gave me my next ability for this rank, which I can't use in space because it is a ground ability, and this one is in fact actually unique to my class. So I'll show it off in the next mission. So with that, then that'll be it for this week's episode. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.